Good day, everyone. Good day, sir. I am Shara Pangasian, and together with my partner, Krizil Dibuaya, we are going to present Emile Zola as our given playwright and one of his plays. Let us now first look on the social background of Emile Zola. So first we have here his early life. Emile Edward Charles Antoine Zola was born on April 2, 1840. His parents are Francois Zola, who was an Italian engineer who has Greek ancestors, and Emily Aubert, who was French. Emile Zola grew up in the south of France, in the Aix-en province, where he spent most of his time during his childhood. His father worked in the place as a civil engineer on a municipal water system. When Emile Zola was about to reach the age of 7, in the year 1847, his father died, which left him and his mother heartbroken and poor. Next is we have the personal life of Emile Zola. Emile Zola has a friend who was a renowned artist named Paul Cézanne. The friendship began during his stay in their childhood home in the Aix-en province in the south of France. Since then, their friendship continued until they became old. He had a very interesting personal life which involved women. He met a seamstress named Eleanor Alexandrine Melly, who was also uh, who also called herself as Gabriel in 1865. He pursued her and became married on May 31, 1870. Unfortunately, Alexandrine couldn't give Emile Zola children, which made their marriage life childless. Alexandrine, before she got married to Zola, had a child whom she had given up. They tried to search for the child, but sadly the news reached them that the child died shortly after birth. 18 years after their marriage, which was in 1888, his wife Alexandrine hired a seamstress named Jean Roserot to become their housemaid. Jean Roserot was a 21-year-old young lady and was hired to live with the couple in their house as their housemaid. However, the existence of Jean in their home caused a controversy between the married couple as Emile Zola fell in love with their housemaid without Alexandrine's knowledge. They started an affair which bore fruit shortly after. Together, Emile Zola and Jean Roserat had two children named Denise in 1889 and Jacques in 1891. In the same year of Jacques' birth, Alexandrine discovered the affair of her husband and their housemaid, which led them almost to get a divorce. But then the conflict was resolved as Alexandrine accepted the situation, though not willingly, which made Emile Zola an active father of the children. After Zola's death, his children were lawfully given his surname. Next is we have the literary career of Emile Zola. Zola enjoyed writing short stories, essays, novels, and plays uh, when he was a child. He has written multiple literary pieces that are mostly centered on society and the behavior of people in the society. His literary career started in the mid 19th century and lasted over several decades. He started as a short story writer and a journalist, contributing articles to various publications in his time. His first published novel was called La Confession de Claude, or The Blood's Confession, in the year 1865. This novel, however, caught the attentions of the police as the novel explores immorality and sexuality, which made the authorities found his writings dangerous, especially to the conservative circles at the time. His novels revolves around naturalism and realism. Emile Zola strongly believed that heredity and environment has the greatest influence on the behaviors of the individuals in the society. Thus, it led him to explore taboo subjects and darker aspects in the literary world, such as adultery and crime. One of Emile Zola's early works include Thérèse Raquin, that was published in the year 1867, which is considered as his pivotal work in his career. The novel, which was adapted into play, delves into the realistic portrayal of society exploring human desires and its consequences. This work greatly influences the literary movement of naturalism. He also released monumental series of writings which is composed of 20 novels, which is about more than a half of his novels, which is called Le Rogon Macquart, considered as the most influential project in French literature, published between the years 1871 and 1893. Le Rogon Macquart explores various themes including adultery, poverty, social inequality, corruption, alcoholism, and consequences unchecked ambitions. The series was praised for its realistic portrayal of the society, leaving a trademark for its influence and contribution to the French literature. Emile Zola's works serves as an inspiration to some other writers, and his works inspired operas such as Louis by Gustave Charpentier in 1890s, Heredity and Milieu by Claude Bernard and Hippolyte Taine, Realism by Balzac and Flaubert, and several others, including the libretto for operas by Alfred Brunio, and more. Next is we have the political engagement and the Dreyfus Affair. During his lifetime, Emile Zola was actively involved in political affairs. He was actively engaged in politics, and with his great writing skills, he even wrote and published articles about the political government at the time. One of his writings that created controversy was the J. Accuse, which was published on January 13, 1898, in the front page of the newspaper called Paris Daily La Aurore. It was a writing that risked his life and his career as he got involved in the Dreyfus affair. Alfred Dreyfus was a military officer in the French army. He was accused that he was the one who leaked the secret information of the French to the German embassy. He was wrongly accused and was convicted of treason and was sent to the Devil's Island in French Guiana. So he was convicted of treason and was accused of something that he did not do. So he was wrongfully accused. Yet there was another officer who discovered evidences that involved another officer, which is Esther Hazy. But then, the higher ups of the army protected Esther Hazy instead of clearing the name of uh, Alfred Dreyfus. And that officer who discovered the evidences that involved Esther Hazy was also charged for professional secrecy violation. After then, Emile Zola cannot just sit and wait and watch about the situation. So he, with his great writing skills, wrote about J. Accuse, which talks about the injustice of the higher ups of the military, of the French military. His writing was in an open letter form, which is directed to the President of France. Later then, Zola was charged for libel, which was part of his plan to make his writing go public in support of Dreyfus. Zola then was sent to trial and went on an exile in England. Years later, the table finally turned and the president sided with them. And there was an amnesty bill which cleared the names of Pickard, the officer who discovered the evidences, Dreyfus, and Zola. The article of Emile Zola was seen by French as the most prominent manifestation of intellectual power. His intelligence, bravery, and dedication to bring injustice to justice and speak out against prejudice and oppression made Zola a remarkable writer. Lastly, we have the major works of Emile Zola. Emile Zola wrote a total of 31 novels, 5 collections of short stories, and also wrote numerous articles about social and political issues and published them. He also produced arts, dramas, plays, libretti, and literary criticisms. His four major works was Le Rogan Maquart, Thérèse Raquin, Nana, and Herminal. Le Rogan Maquart was published between 1871 to 1893. Uh, it portrays the differences between the two families, the Rogan and the Maquart. It explores themes such as heredity, social class, and the influence of environment on the individuals. The novel can be read separately, but they are interconnected as to the relationship between both sides of the family. Therese Raquin, published in 1867, tells the story of a young woman married to her cousin Camille. Trapped by the loveless marriage, she found herself in an affair with her husband's friend, Laurent. The story explores the themes of passion, guilt, consequences, etc. Nana, published in the year 1880, is a novel which describes the life of a gorgeous and seductive actress and her effect on the men who are drawn to her. It looks at how power, luxury, and the pursuit of pleasure may corrupt people. And Herminal was published in 1885, exploring the lives of the coal miners of France during the 19th century. The novel delves into themes such as social injustice, harsh working conditions, as well as the working class struggles. Other writings of Emile Zola include Les Amours, The Lady's Paradise, La Fortune de Rogan, The Belly of Paris, La Terre, La Debacle, Lourdes, and several others, which showcases his versatility as a writer, leaving his name big throughout history. Now let's move on to the historical background of Thérèse Raquin, which was a novel written by Emile Zola and was adapted into play. So first we have here the publication of the novel. Although, during the time, France was accustomed to tales that are not into violence, misery, and sexual excitement, Emile Zola had different things in mind. He had the greatest interest towards studying human behaviors, establishing naturalism that grew out of realism. He was much concerned with sciences, objectivity, and determinism. Due to this, he wrote several books, including Therese Raquin, which talks about darker aspects. Therese Raquin was published firstly in a serial form in 1867 in the literary magazine called El Artiste and was published as a book in the year 1868. This novel, Emile Zola was labeled as an immoral pornography writer, but that didn't stop him from pursuing to make the book be known in public and even encouraged critics to write reviews about the novel. He wrote a preface of the book as well, a preface which helped in making clear the goals of naturalism. Therese Raquin was his third novel, but his first novel that brought him to fame and success. Next is we have challenging romanticism. So in the year 19th century, romanticism was dominant in literature, as it celebrates emotions, individualisms, and often portrays love and passion between man and woman. On the contrary, Therese Raquin was a very dark novel that uses taboo subjects such as adultery, lust, and crime, which are the complete opposite of people's ideals of romanticism, which caused a controversy during the time as readers and as well as critics found the novel scandalous, immoral, and inappropriate. In romanticism, people were bound with love, but in his novel Therese Raquin, he proved to people that people cannot only be bound by love, but also can be bound without love. Therese Raquin, trapped in a loveless marriage, wanted to fulfill her sexual needs with Laurent, who was not her husband, and Laurent, on the other hand, sees Therese as someone who can satisfy his sexual desires. They were both drawn towards each other by the lust and sexual desires, not by strong love and passion. The novel represents the realistic portrayal of human nature and relationships, rejecting the notions of love and instead delving into human psychology with the exploration of themes like guilt, hatred, and the consequences of one's actions. So next we have here the adaptations of Thérèse Raquin. So Thérèse Raquin was adapted into various forms of media, and such as theatrical, films, and even in radios. So let us first go to the theatrical adaptation of the novel. Thérèse Raquin was first adapted into play in the year 1873 and was almost not performed in London until the year 1881 due to the refusal of the Chamberlains to license the novel. After then, many stage plays of Thérèse Raquin followed between the years 2006 to 2017, adapted by many playwrights. In 2006, it was adapted by Nicholas Wright and was staged in the Royal National Theatre in London. In 2007, Nicholas Wright's adaptation of the play was again adapted by Quantum Theatre. In 2008, it was adapted by Pauline MacLean and was produced in the Riverside Studios in London, and many more adaptations took place in the year 2009 up until 2017. Thérèse Raquin was not just adapted to play, but there were even musical adaptations and operas of the play. Examples of the adaptations was the opera composed by Michael Fennessy and by Tobias Baker in the year 2000. In 2014, marks the most successful musical play adaptation of Thérèse Raquin by Craig Adams, featuring artists such as Julie Atherton, Tara Hugo, Jeremy Liggett, and Ben Lewis or Greg Barnett as the characters. The musical play made history as it was nominated for a West End Frame Award. Next is we have the film and TV adaptation. The novel was adapted into various films, televisions, and miniseries as well, and was translated and adapted into different languages. The adaptations include Thérèse Raquin in 1950, Italian silent film directed by Nino Martoglio, Thérèse Raquin in 1928, German film, Thérèse Raquin 1950, BBC adaptation starring Sonia Dresdel as Thérèse, Thérèse Raquin 1953 with Simon Signoret, Thérèse Raquin 1956, German TV movie, Thérèse Raquin 1965, Swedish TV movie, Thérèse Raquin 1966, German TV movie, Teresa Raquin 1977, a Mexican TV series, Thérèse Raquin 1979, Belgian TV movie, Raquin 1980, BBC series starring Kate Nelligan as Thérèse, Brian Cox as Laurent, and Alan Rickman as Vidal, Laurent's artist friend who is unnamed in the novel. Thérèse Raquin 1985, uh, an Italian miniseries. Thirst 2009, Korean horror film which borrowed a number of plot elements from Thérèse Raquin. And in Secret 2013, American film starring Elizabeth Olsen as Thérèse, Jessica Lange as Madame Raquin, Oscar Isaac as Laurent, and Tom Felton as Camille, directed by Charlie Strata. We also have radio adaptation. In the radio adaptation, we have two radio adaptations. First, we have the Thérèse Raquin 1998, a BBC Radio 4 radio adaptation starring Anna Massey as Thérèse. And the second one is Thérèse Raquin 2009, which is a BBC Radio 4 classical serial adaptation in two parts starring Charlotte Riley as Thérèse and Andrew Bouton as Laurent. Next is we have the plot of the play. First, we have here the exposition. Thérèse Raquin is an orphan raised by her aunt, Madame Raquin, together with her sick cousin, Camille. Followed by the rising action, Therese began to get bored after she got a loveless marriage with her cousin and suffers from the gatherings that Madame Raquin hosts every Thursday. But then, Camille brought his co-worker Laurent, a nude painter, which caught the attention of Therese. They began an affair behind Camille's back. The conflict of the story? They carried out their plan on getting rid of Camille during the boating excursion. They brought Camille into where no one can see them, and Laurent threw Camille into the water, but Laurent also got beaten by Camille before he falls into the water. Followed by the climax. Laurent and Therese got married but were haunted by guilt and conscience. They find themselves trapped into a loveless marriage, unable to escape their past. Then we have the falling action of the story. With great guilt and conscience of what happened to Camille, Laurent and Therese confessed their crimes to Madame Raquin, whose body was paralyzed. Madame Raquin thought of killing herself but decided not to because she knew that soon something bad will happen to both Therese and Laurent. And lastly, we have the denouement. Therese and Laurent plan to kill each other out of guilt. After they fought, they both decided to drink the poison together, for they know they will never become happy together because of the crime they did. So Therese Raquin is a novel written by Emile Zola. The story where the story revolves around Therese, a young woman forced into a loveless marriage with her sickly cousin Camille. The plot takes a dark turn when Therese embarks on a passionate affair with Laurent, a friend of Camille. The narrative explores the consequences of their illicit relationship, leading to a web of deceit, guilt, and ultimately tragedy. The analysis delves into themes of passion, repression, and the impact of societal constraints on individual lives. Theories, stifled desires, and the oppressive atmosphere create a psychological tension that unfolds in a gripping narrative. As the characters navigate the consequences of their actions, a novel paints a bleak picture of human nature and the destructive power of repressed emotions. The setting of the story, which was primarily in 19th century Paris, adds to the atmosphere, capturing the societal norms and constraints of the time. Zola's naturalistic approach is evident in his depiction of characters as products of their environment, highlighting the deterministic forces shaping their fates. Overall, Therese Raquin offers a chilling exploration of passion, guilt, and the consequences of societal expectations, making it a compelling study in psychological and moral turmoil.
Good day, sir. I am Grizel Dibuaya, and I am here to continue Miss Legacy and support. Okay, so we're in settings. The story revolves around Therese, a young woman forced into a loveless affair with Laurent, a friend of Camille. So the narrative explores the consequences of their illicit relationship, leading to the web, ended guilt, and ultimate tragedy. So Solo's vivid description of the cityscape, which is the cramped Haberdash store in Paris, wrote in De Fontenay, contribute to the overall atmosphere, emphasizing the harsh conditions and societal constraints that shape the character's life. So the setting shifts as the narrative progresses, encompassing locations like Seine River and the countryside. Okay, let's proceed to the conflict. Okay, characters versus self. So the characters Thérèse and Laurent faces societal expectations, desires, and consequences in a loveless marriage, fueled by passion, guilt, and entrapment. Their inner turmoil becomes central to the tragic story, revealing psychological complexities. Next is character versus character. The novel explores Therese's complex relationship with her husband, Camille, and lover Laurent, resulting in the web of deception and betrayal, intensifying rivalry and animosity, contributing the unfolding tragedy. Next is characterization. So in characterization, there are four major characters in the story, which are Thérèse Raquin, Camille, Madame Raquin, and Laurent, were described by Emile Zola as the following. Okay. Thérèse Raquin, a young woman who is unhappy married with her cousin by her aunt. Next is Camille, the first degree cousin of Thérèse, who is sickly and egocentric. Next is Madame Raquin, Camille's mother and Therese's aunt, who is overbearing, may seem not to be nice, but is deeply selfish in any ways. And lastly, Laurent, a young man with an insatiable appetite for pleasure. Next is point of view. So, we have here the third person omniscient. So, Thérèse Raquin was written in a third person omniscient, which makes the story exciting and engaging. The story, Emile Zola was an observer who knows everything about the characters from their thoughts down to their emotions. He knows their struggles, individual as well as their fears. The novel plays was associated by psychological aspects of the characters by using third-person omniscient point of view. Emile Zola was able to make it easy to explore the psychological insight of characters following, or rather allowing him to know the desires and emotions of the characters in the story, which is a very big advantage to the readers. Okay, so the readers, on the other hand, was given opportunities to know what desires, behaviors, and emotions of the characters are through the third-person omniscient point of view used by a writer, which has a great impact of readers' understanding of the story. By also knowing the inner thoughts, emotions, and desires of characters, readers will able to have a deeper connection towards the characters in the story, and they would also understand the consequences of their actions and their struggles as well. So, and by being able to know this, readers would able to have an emotional response of the story as they emphasize towards the characters. Next is symbolism. First is we have Laurent's scars. So, when Laurent and Thérèse murdered Camille by throwing him in the water, Camille was able to fix back and able to bite Laurent's neck before he is finally thrown in the water, leaving a bite mark on Laurent's neck. So the bite marks in the story was used to symbolize unhappy and suffering. Although Thérèse and Laurent successfully got rid of their obstacle, which was Camille, they have not able to celebrate and become happy, as the scar reminds them of what they done to Camille. In other marriage, they can ever be happy, as Camille was always there as a scar in their relationship that will never heal. It was the scar that made them struggle. Point of view used by a writer, which has a great impact of readers' understanding of the story. By also knowing the inner thoughts, emotions, and desires of characters, readers will able to have a deeper connection towards the characters in the story, and they would also understand the consequences of their actions and their struggles as well. So, and by being able to know this, readers would able to have an emotional response of the story as they emphasize towards the characters. Next is symbolism. First is we have Laurent's scars. So, when Laurent and Thérèse murdered Camille by throwing him in the water, Camille was able to fix back and able to bite Laurent's neck before he is finally thrown in the water, leaving a bite mark on Laurent's neck. So the bite marks in the story was used to symbolize unhappy and suffering. Although Thérèse and Laurent successfully got rid of their obstacle, which was Camille, they have not able to celebrate and become happy as the scar reminds them of what they done to Camille. In other marriage, they can ever be happy, as Camille was always there as a scar in their relationship that will never heal. It was the scar that made them struggle to love themselves, but hate themselves instead as they see it. It reminds them their wrongdoings and their crime. Next is the morgue. Weeks after the crime towards Camille, Laurent finds himself in the morgue every morning. In the morgue, he tries to search for Camille and his body, examining every drowned person in the morgue just to find Camille's corpse. With this change of behavior of Laurent, he always finds himself surrounded by dead people, which gives him terrible nightmares. The morgue symbolizes death, where Camille's death haunts Laurent, which leads to have a depressing life. Next is motive. First, we have scars. The scar, which was located in Laurent's neck, is motive, which served as a constant reminder of both Thérèse and Laurent of their crime. It was the never-ending reminder as well as their consequences of their action. Next is the morgue. The morgue is a thing that associate with death. It was therefore used in hunting the accountable of the crime he committed, reminding him the death of his friend, leading to his death himself, just like Laurent in the story. Third is the water. Just like how they killed Camille by drowning him into the water, also represents how the couple, Thérèse and Laurent, were drowned and suffocated by their relationship towards each other and can ever escape from the situation they're in. Next is the style. So, Emile Zola, a key figure in the literary movement of naturalism, employed a style that aimed to portray life with scientific objectivity. In Thérèse Raquin, this is evident in his meticulous attention to detail. Zola describes scenes, characters, and emotions with precision, providing readers in a vivid of sometimes personal experience. The novel setting is in the working class neighborhoods of Paris, add to authenticity of Zola's naturalistic styles. He used environment to shape the characters, illustrating how their surrounding influence their behaviors and choices. This deterministic view reflects the natural relief that individuals are proud of their heredity and environment. Zola also explored the psychological depths of his characters. Thérèse's internal struggles, Laurent's guilt, and Madame Raquin's torment are depicted with a keen psychological insight. The author delves into darker aspects of human natures, exploring themes of passion, desires, and the consequences of surprising one's true self. The, na- the narrative is marked by a scene of inevitability and fate, emphasizing the deterministic nature of literalism. Zola presents a break world view where characters are trapped by their circumstances and their destinies are shaped by external forces. Next is theme. The novel or play examines the dark side of human nature, character conflict, and tragic outcomes, emphasizing social norms as well as the implication of passion, betrayal, remorse, and desire. Next is Gist. So, the affair between Therese and Laurent led to crime. Scene where they threw Camille, Therese's husband, into the water, haunted by guilt and consequences of their crime towards Camille. Their life as a couple never been happy. After they get married, they never become happy as thought as Camille always haunts them, which makes them hate each other. Their hatred and lead to tragic ending, where the drunk potions and died together. So the novel and the play Theresa Kim is renewed for its groundbreaking approach to literature and its exploration towards the taboo subject as adultery and murder. It is also renewed for its portrayal of human behavior and psychological insight.